Welcome everyone to 2020. I'm the Siege here doing a Thursday preview slate video. I'm on the road today, so there'll be no normal Twitch stream at 3 p.m. But I did want to get you out this video for this 9-game slate. So what I'm going to do is just go game by game, talk about the key injuries and things to look for, and then any plays that kind of just pop for me. First up, Charlotte and Cleveland. Pick them basically 213 total, which is one of the short. It's one of the shorter ones on the slate, one of the smaller ones as well. Charlotte and Cleveland actually relatively healthy for the first time all season, which kind of leaves us in an awkward situation. There's really no default obvious values other than PJ Washington. He's still underpriced for playing 36 minutes, only 5,300. There's a ceiling here if he gets hot from the field. But other than that, it's tough because you're really not going to get the double-double from PJ Washington, so you're going to need him to make some shots and get some steals and blocks to hit that ceiling. But, you can see he's done it 3 times in his last 8 games. So when you have that kind of ceiling, it's definitely worth mentioning him, especially against Cleveland. Pretty good matchup for him. But other than that, I think this is kind of just a game with everyone's kind of healthy. Kevin Love, I guess, always has upside here, but Devontae Graham always has upside, but there's nothing here that's super special. Anything that's really popping out is this must-have play, especially given the slow 213 total. All right, let's move on to Denver and Indiana. We definitely have a bunch of injury news here. So Paul Millsap came back and played last game, so he should be listed as probable today. And Gary Harris is questionable. With that shin injury. If he sits, it's going to be more of kind of the same in terms of the Denver value. Michael Porter Jr. has been the guy getting the run here. Oh, actually, he didn't get the run last game. Interesting. Who got it then? Monte Morris? It was Monte Morris. Picked up 23 minutes off the bench, shot hot. But, he probably just picked up these extra minutes because he was shooting well. So, guys like Malik Beasley could be in line for extra minutes if Monte Morris doesn't shoot super well. So there's an open spot to close to go around with Millsap, Jokic, Barton, and Jamal Murray. Actually, this injury news of the Pacers just popped right before we started. And I thought I had written it down, but I did not. Sumner's out and Brogdon's out. So with Brogdon out, obviously Aaron Holiday becomes a really good value option. You can just see his usage just climbs dramatically into that 20% range when Brogdon's out. It's a good matchup here against Denver in terms of pace. So and not a whole lot of rim protection. So really do like Aaron Holiday here at 5,100. TJ McConnell is a fine option at 4,100, but he's just never going to close. He has to run really pure to close. So that's always a concern for me, especially on these larger slates. I want my guys to be able to close, get those clutch time minutes. But 4,100 for McConnell, he can beat that even in 18 to 20 minutes. So he's definitely someone to consider as well. Justin Holiday, I guess, is an option, but you really have to hit lightning in a bottle there. Jeremy Lamb, TJ Warren, their usage rates will go up as well here. But again, those guys are just so scoring dependent. You just got to find if they hit one of those ceiling games, TJ Warren has been shooting unbelievable this year. I feel like I've been saying this all year, TJ Warren will stop shooting well, and then I just keep looking at the game log, and the guy just keeps shooting well. But, he's so scoring dependent. He's going to have to shoot well to get you to value. So keep that in mind when you're trying to decide how much TJ Warren you want to play on your teams. Okay, that's that game. Let's move on to Toronto and Miami. Both these teams have been the walking wounded this season, so let's just take a look at where we're at today. Just looks like Justice Winslow is the only one that we still are waiting the news on. He is listed as questionable, I believe. Oh, he's ruled out. Okay, even better. That's that. That's pretty simple for the Heat. Goran Dragic and company are back. And then for Toronto, still no Pascal Siakam, still no Marc Gasol, still no Norman Powell. So not a whole lot has changed here. Let's just kind of take a look at. Why isn't this loading? So, top value options, nothing really special. I mean, the prices on everyone are right. Kendrick Nunn, obviously, he's fine just with Goran Dragic back. He's not going to be able to get those assist numbers he was getting earlier in the season. So you're really going to need 20 real life points out of him to be a tournament upside type guy. Now, he can do it, for sure. But it's always tough when you have these scoring dependent guys that can kind of not just like not do great, but they can bust your lineup. If he puts up that 13, like really going to be tough to cash on a 9 gamer. So keep that in mind. Goran Dragic 5K. Looks like his minutes, they're trying to keep him decently low, if at all possible. And the super close games, he's been playing big minutes, but if they can keep him on the shorter end of the minutes, they're going to try to. Derek Jones Jr. has been playing more minutes recently, gotten into the 30-minute range. His price is starting to get to the point where that caps his ceiling. But Derek Jones even does have those 30 minutes games where he can go 15 and 8 with 2 blocks and 2 steals. So there's still a little upside here, but nothing that's I'm super like, oh my god, you have to play. The biggest news last time out is that Toronto benched OG Anunoby. He still played 30 minutes off the bench, so kind of moved into that super utility role. Not a bad idea, just given that a lot of the teams they've been playing recently start with size and go smaller off the bench. Kind of expect everything to still remain the same with RHJ back in the lineup playing 28 minutes. There's a ceiling upside here, but it's not great. I'm not really wild about Toronto here in this matchup against Miami. Like, Kyle Lowry, I've been on this train for about a month. He's been fine, but he just doesn't really flash the consistent ceiling that we all expect from him, especially at this kind of price tag. So I'm not trying to jam him in. If he fits, great, but Toronto has a bunch of bodies, so I'm not going to, and the prices are up now, so this isn't a situation that I'm just running to the, got to stuff as many as I can in. All right, next up, Utah and Chicago. Utah 3-point favorites here against Chicago. Chicago, their entire team's listed as questionable, so the coach doesn't get fined when he talks about injuries. And Utah is healthy other than Mike Conley. So we obviously know when Mike Conley's out, Joe Ingles, this guy gets a big bump. He's done pretty well coming off a poor game against Detroit, just simply because they won by 1,000,000 points. This is a nice rebound spot at 5,500. He should be about a 6,500 player. So this is one of the first real value spots I think I've seen on the entire slate. Wendell Carter, they don't really ever give him enough minutes, but he's played well. I think he'll still be in that 28-minute range, so I'm not going to be desperately trying to jam him in the teams. But if for whatever reason one of the backup bigs was to get ruled out, Wendell Carter would immediately become one of these great options, because he just would get all the minutes. Kind of like we see with Hassan Whiteside in Portland. Scalabrine got out. Zach Collins has been out since very, very early on. And now Whiteside's just playing 35 minutes a night in just total beast mode. Would expect similar from Wendell Carter Jr. Jordan Clarkson's fixed the bench a bit. He's been a nice option. He's been playing about 25 minutes a night. The issue is just he's been shooting really well. He'll have a bad shooting night, so the price is starting to get a little steep. But, Jordan Clarkson in the low 4Ks, always a viable option if you're looking for value. Kobe White finally had a good shooting game. First one in a while against the Bucks. Of course, he shot well against the Bucks. Where was that when I rostered you against the Bucks? I guess he did take 15 shots. I guess I should have looked at that closer. Oh well. But Kobe White 4,500 always has upside. But other than that, I'm not running to the bank. Royce O'Neal, his minutes have gotten cut a little bit since the Jordan Clarkson edition, but he's always an option for value if you're desperate. All right, let's talk about the most interesting game of the night, and that would be Golden State at Minnesota. Minnesota's still without basically everyone: Wiggins, Towns, Teague. I'm just going to kind of keep just ruling them all out until we hear that they're coming back mentally. So if you played the 3-game slate yesterday or the 4-game slate, Minnesota was chalk, and it was quite egregiously bad chalk. They were 18-point dogs in Milwaukee, and they kept the game close, obviously, because that's what happens when everyone takes chalk from an 18-point dog. Didn't work out very well for me, but I would fade them in that spot 100 times out of 100. This one's a little harder. This game should be competitive against Golden State, who's kind of just bad in their own right. So, I mean, I have interest in these Wolves, but like Shabazz Napier at 5K, like he's just not going to keep shooting this well forever. And it's the back-to-back. It's a 3 and 4. This is about as good a spot as it really ever gets to fade. So I think I'm just going to hold my nose and fade one more time. The guy I don't think I'm going to fade is Jarrett Culver. He's just been kind of an all-around guy, getting production in every category. It hasn't just been scoring. It's been the rebounds. It's been the assists. It's been the steals and blocks. They get 4,300 on FanDuel. I'm going to eat this. He's closer to 5K on DraftKings. I think you can consider the fade there. But, you know, I think he's actually a guy that's going to get this boost. So I'm more willing to eat the Culver chalk than I am like Robert Covington, who got there on like most garbage nonsense ever. Like 3 steals and a block, of course. Of course he has a steal and block heavy game when he's super chalky at 5,100 and puts up 6 real life points. Sorry, I'm not mad about it or anything, right? You know, there's just so many other guys like Gorgie Jang has been popular. I can't imagine they're playing Naz Reid a lot. I think he's an option at 3,700. He's been playing big minutes, and his usage rate's through the roof and looks good. I have to admit, I've been really impressed with what I've seen so far from Naz Reid in these limited minutes. On the Warriors side, no Russell and no superstars. So, per usual, that means I'm playing Greg Robinson III. Anytime D'Angelo Russell's out, Greg Robinson III is my go-to. It's been pretty consistent this year. That's when he gets his minutes highs because they just need someone on the wing, and it's when he takes the most shots. Now, he's not going to go shoot 10 for 17 again, but I don't need him to go shoot 10 for 17 at 4,700. I need him to go shoot 6 for 18. You know, that's fine. Like, if he puts up 30 at 4,700, that is more than enough. He didn't even get a lot of steals and blocks or rebounds, so that one was a little scoring heavier than normal for his good games. So I'm perfectly happy going back to Glenn Robinson, even at the slightly higher price. Alec Burks, anytime, of course, Russell's out, he gets all the minutes and usage, so he's another good option. Draymond's fine in this spot. I'm just worried if he's actually going to play 37 minutes again, but he's an interesting option at 6,700. Damian Lee, I think he's still overpriced, coming off of that monster game that he had on Christmas. Like, I like the player, but I'm just not sure he can really produce a ton of ceiling at 6K. So I'm probably going to stay away from Damian Lee at this point. All right, that's definitely the most important of the games we've covered so far. Brooklyn at Dallas. So Kristaps Porzingis is questionable. Obviously, if Kristaps Porzingis sits, you need all the Luka Doncic. There's really not much debate there. I don't think that's going to really shock anyone. I mean, his usage rate was 37.9. He played 40 minutes without him. So this is a team that's trying to fight for a playoff spot right now. So, like, I think the days of the low 30 minutes for Luka Doncic are kind of gone in competitive games. We just haven't really seen a ton lately. So I definitely think that Luka's going to be in towards those upper 30 minutes as Dallas really tries to evaluate over the next few weeks. Are they a real playoff contender or are they not? So I think you're going to see the minutes for Luka Doncic on the rise, and it's a point guard against Brooklyn. It's a fantastic matchup. You can play him even if you don't know about Kristaps Porzingis. That's how good the matchup is. The rest of the Dallas guys, you know, just kind of hit or miss. You never know what you're going to get. You know, it could be DeLon Wright one game, could be Seth Curry one game. So it's just kind of one of them's going to do well, but you're just kind of going to have to guess, I guess, or play some teams with both. Jared Allen's super cheap in this spot, coming off one of his worst games of the year against Minnesota, which is kind of surprising. It was a pretty good matchup. But I'm not going to stop Jared Allen. 5,600 is too cheap for a player of his caliber. And Spencer Dinwiddie, this is a tougher matchup, but his upside is just phenomenal right now. Usage rates in the upper 30s. It's basically James Harden-like. Now, he's not as efficient as James Harden, obviously. But, I mean, these usage rates are just insane. 38, 37, 39, 39, 46. For a player who's 8,400, Like, I'm just going to eat this usage rate all the time, and I'll kind of let the chips fall where they may at that point. So I'm on the Spencer Dinwiddie train again today. Other than that, I could see some interest in Taurean Prince. I could see some interest in Joe Harris, but, you're just going to need a magic 8-ball to tell me, like, if this is the day they hit their ceiling or not, the day they shoot well or not. So those are kind of just guys that, as I build my teams, if they pop, great. If they don't, so be it. Oklahoma City against the San Antonio Spurs. This is a 217.5 total. Oh, I haven't checked in a while. I know they played a couple minutes together when I was on Christmas. So at one point, Derek White and DeJounte Murray had played 7 minutes on the floor together. And someone actually messaged me like when it happened. They're like, oh, they're on the floor together. So I'm curious. Let's see what we got. They're up to 22 minutes on the floor together this year. Obviously, that is not a lot. So obviously, anytime you play DeJounte Murray, you got to make sure you got no Derek White. DeJounte Murray's been better recently. But again, like until he starts getting above 30 minutes, it is just going to be tough to trust him. Like he can flash the ceiling if he plays perfect, but that's what you're going to need him to do, basically play perfect. And that's always a tough ask. It's a good matchup here for LaMarcus Aldridge against Steven Adams. Should be able to take him out and hit those mid-range jumpers that he likes to do. Other than that, though, I'm not really wild about any of these other any of these other Spurs players. Danilo Gallinari will returned on Tuesday, and that kind of will just take away all the value that we've seen from Dennis Schroeder recently, all the value we've seen from Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Chris Paul. All those type of ceilings are kind of gone until one of them goes down again. So not wild about them. They're actually in decent spots here. I don't mind playing any of them. Kind of it's just like a filler play. I think they all do have ceiling, but it's not the slam dunk it's been the last couple of weeks where it's like you can just plug in Paul, Schroeder, and Shai, and you're going to get kind of a 35-plus fantasy point performance. With Gallinari back, those days are kind of just done for the moment. This game's interesting, though. It should be somewhat competitive. I just don't know. Maybe it's a sneaky stack candidate. Like you go DeJounte, Aldridge, or Aldridge DeRozan, because you don't have to really break the bank to stack this game. You're getting the guys at mid-tier prices, and all the usage kind of is just tied into a few guys. Actually, that's not a bad idea. That's not a bad idea, actually. There is just kind of like the same high usage guys. So I could see stacking this game if you wanted to be a little contrarian. All right, 2 games left to go. Memphis, Sacramento. Let's just check out the injury reports for these teams. Memphis, Jay Crowder is still day-to-day. I think he's questionable for today. He is. I'm just going to assume he's ruled out just for this show. And then Sacramento has been the walking wounded. They're just missing Bagley, though. Fox has been back. Fox has not been great since he came back. He's kind of just being out there, being a game manager. His team needs him, which is great. But I'm just going to kind of fade Fox until I see the ceiling. This price is too low. Like, I firmly acknowledge the price on Fox is too low. And he's going to break a slate. And it could be this one. I completely understand that. But he just hasn't looked explosive. He hasn't looked the same. He hasn't been pushing the pace, as this article even on the left side of the box just mentions. So for me, it's just like, do I really want to start chasing? When I play players like this, right? A player I know is super talented, and it's too cheap. Once I play the guy once, I'm making a commitment to play him until he has the ceiling game, right? Because I'm not going to play De'Aaron Fox for a week, watch his price go down to 6,500, and then watch him put up 45 fantasy points. It's like, if he's a good play now at 7,200, at every lower price he goes along the way until he has the ceiling game, he's going to be a really good tournament play. So, am I willing to make the investment on Fox? Not yet, off what I've seen on his ankle, but I would totally understand if you wanted to go in that direction. Rashawn Holmes, doing one of the best plays on the slate, 32 minutes against this Memphis front court. Should be a ton of rebounds available. Without Bagley, he's just one of the best options. I'm sure Bagley's actually out. Yeah, he's out. Okay, that's what I thought. But let me if I was going to start touting power forwards, you just wanted to make sure that he actually was out. Buddy Hield, You know, it's funny. He just really never had the great shooting games when Fox is back. Been better recently, but I'm not super wild about him. Bogdanovich has been in a slump of all slumps. But, you know, he's got ceiling here at any point. My boy Dylan Brooks against Sacramento. It's been a little bit of a slide. But now he's below 5K again. He's got ceiling. He's just been having one of those foul trouble prones. 4 fouls, 5 fouls, 6 fouls. Just been getting foul trouble here. So he still has that ceiling. Jake Crowder's out, so there are extra minutes for him if he can just keep his hands to himself. So he's definitely interesting as well. Wouldn't mind a YOLO on one of these other guys, too, if you could figure out who would take the Jake Crowder minutes. Is it Kyle Anderson? Oh, boy, it's Kyle Anderson. Yeah, I'm not a Kyle Anderson fan, but 3,500, you can do worse, especially if Jake Crowder's out again. So, favorite plays in this game, Rashad Holmes, clearly the best. And then after that, I don't really mind anyone else. Thinking about John Morant, too, he's just on the 30-minute plan. Just make a note of that. He's on like basically a metaphorical minutes cap. So, I mean, it's not metaphorical. It's a real cap. But it's not injury-related. It's just they don't want to burn him into the ground. They want him to develop good habits on both sides of the floor. So just don't be... I see a lot of projection systems that just project John Morant. Like, even Fantasy Cruncher, who I love our minute projections, but, like, that's his ceiling minute projection right there. Like, that's the ceiling. And so you have to be careful of that, right? When you project the ceiling, you have to know that, like, okay, I am projecting the minutes ceiling here. Now, for him, it's basically the floor, too, so it's not quite as true. But, like, he's way more likely to play 27 minutes than he is to play 33. So... like for me, I would lower this projected minutes to like 29, 28, because that's a more realistic range of outcomes, right? If I'm trying to project the median outcome, projecting 30 minutes is just not how I'm going to get there. All right, last game, the G League Detroit Pistons against the Clippers. Detroit, let's just make sure I got this all right. Blake Griffin is, I believe, out. He's doubtful. Markieff Morris is out. And Seku's still out. Kennard's still out. Reggie Jackson's still out. So, I mean, when we look at the Detroit side, it's not pretty. Derrick Rose is on a minutes limit, and that's not going anywhere. So, always remember that when you're doing with Derrick Rose as well. He's on that 25, 26-minute cap. Again, we're kind of projecting the minute ceiling here. Christian Wood's minutes just are not going to get this high. Like, he's just not going to get 28 minutes. He should. He absolutely should. He's just not going to. This coaching staff has decided that they want Zvi to play 19 million minutes, and that's what's going to happen. So, you know, if I'm looking for a Bruce Brown Jr. type guy who's going to run the point, coming off one of his worst games last time out, but I think he's going to do much better in this spot against the Clippers, honestly, because you can't do much worse than the last time out. Also, a lot less rim protection here on the Clippers than there was on the Utah Jazz and Rudy Gobert. It's like, this team isn't great. Like, Christian Wood, I'm going to project him for 24 minutes. He'll be a fine value option even at 24 minutes, but certainly not. I think this is awfully aggressive. Tony Snell. I mean, it's Tony Snell. He doesn't do anything. Just really not anything here for Detroit. You know, it's funny. When you see, like, a 9-man rotation, you're like, ooh, probably some good value plays here. When you see, like, the second highest player is 6,000. But, you know, Bruce Brown's the best of the value options. But other than that, it's not a pretty sight. On the Clippers, you know, the Clippers are healthy. The Clippers are awesome. For me, it's just I'm still lowering those usage rates on Lou Williams. You know, he's not going to do this every game. He's going to have a lot hit or miss. So you just got to kind of know that going in that he's going to be pretty hit or miss depending on the situation. Don't mind Montrez here at 5,200. I think that's a really fair price. They've been in some blowouts recently, some bad matchups for him, but this one's a little better. But other than that, you know, there's a lot of these guys are just going to play big minutes, so it's really just kind of, do you want to play Paul George or Kawhi Leonard and hope that they pop, or kind of a Lou Will thing and kind of hope that it's a Lou Will shooting game? Don't mind this idea against the Pistons, actually, that it's a good Lou Will spot. But in general, when Paul George and Leonard are healthy, I'm going to be trying to shy away from Lou Williams. But this one against Detroit's actually one of those spots where I probably should be really considering Lou Williams. So just to kind of recap, just a few of the top plays for me. It's Lou Williams. We didn't talk about Marquise Chris. I think he's an option if Willie Cauley-Stein's out again. Lou Will, Bruce Brown, love Aaron Holiday, love Rashawn Holmes, and Alec Burks. Those are like the 5 or 6 guys that, if I was playing a bunch of teams, I'd try to make sure that they were in my core. But other than that, there's a lot of good plays. Luka Doncic is a good play. Some good studs at the top, so I'm going to try to rotate my studs a little bit. But all in all, I think this is one of the better slates of the year. I think it's going to be a pretty fun slate to play. So I think you'll have some fun with this one. Sorry again I couldn't do the live stream on Twitch. If you don't follow me on Twitch, twitch.tv/TheSiegeDFS. If you don't subscribe to our Fantasy Cruncher YouTube channel, please go ahead and do that. It really helps us as well. We're going to be producing more and more YouTube content over the next couple weeks, so keep an eye out on that YouTube page. We're going to also post some exclusive YouTube content as well. With that, guys, enjoy your January 2nd slate on The Siege. We'll see you next time.